to Incredibelle Conversations. This is the newest episode being recorded where I'm putting it on YouTube for the first time. And in other videos, my hair is super long, but this time it's short. And it's really exciting. I'm having a heck of a day, and my big intention with this show is to speak about the Neptune and Jupiter conjunction happening in our astrological world. And so if you're an astrology lover, teacher, professional, or curious thinker, you may be into the show. And I'm going to screen share my view of the pod, of the the natal birth chart. So if you are not watching this on YouTube, no sweat. If you want to, please feel free to go ahead to Isabel Wellman on YouTube. You'll find it on my channel. I'll have it easily labeled as the thumbnail, or the thumbnail will be easily labeled. And if you're just here, not just because the podcast is friggin' important to me, but if you're here listening through the audio of the podcast platform of your choice, I am honored as heck to have you back. Thank you so much. It has been a big conscious boundary decision for myself to be more devoted to YouTube and the pod as my own platform, because it just feels right. For me, at this point of time, I am pulling back the rope of my people-pleasing tendencies. And so right now, I am really channeling how to people-please myself, how to make myself feel good. And that could look like, oh, she's being selfish. She is not overextending herself on Instagram or TikTok anymore. Well, I'm still going to be there. I'm still going to show up, but I really want, and I'm really wanting to just have this as my main hub where the community gets to rally and come talk and chat. Of course, I have my coaching, I have my personal training, I have the astrology, all for people to, support me through, interact with me more intimately through, of course. But for those who are getting their feet wet, for those who, might not have the funds to invest or get an astrology reading, be a part of the 6-month coaching container, whatever the case, this is still a way to interact with the community. So if you're here, thank you so much. Whether you're a newbie or an oldie, I love you. I love you. I love you. And before we get started with talking about the astrology, I I want to say a little bit about how I call these episodes astro-spired. So that means it's astrology inspired. So if you're on the channel, YouTube, or the podcast, and you see astro-inspired in front of the rest of the title, you'll instantly know what it's about. And that feels really fun for me. And being more playful in my days in a practical way is what I'm calling in and embodying. So thanks for being along for the ride. We are going to settle ourselves down into a meditation. So if you're somewhere where you can sit in a erect spine way, awesome. And if you're driving, if you are focused on cooking at the moment, I just invite you to become present with yourself in this moment, connect with your breath, and really feel your connection with the earth, the ground, the car, the chair, the floor, whatever you're sitting on below you. And then feeling the other side of that, this big pull out of the crown of the head, going up towards the sky, the heavens, and connecting you from what is above into what is below, because you are that universal middle point. You are the contact here. You are always walking around with this connection, and the only reason it might ever feel like it's not there is because we're not tuned in with ourselves and what is going on around us, what is going on within us. And I like to say that I work from the outside in. The whole mission of the Incredibelle Conversations podcast is to teach body, mind, and soul alignment to the spiritually inclined in order to achieve health, happiness, and harmony. That is my big mission. So thank you for your support, and please, if you feel comfortable, if you feel safe, allow the eyes to close. Take a big, deep inhale. Widen the ribs, widen the belly. Pause at the top and exhale by my count. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale at your own pace. Pause and exhale at your own pace as well. Continue to inhale, pause, and exhale, however feels best for you. I personally enjoy inhaling 5, 6, 7 seconds. I pause for 1 second longer, and then I exhale 1 second longer than the pause. So if I inhale for 6 seconds, I pause for 7 seconds, and I exhale for 8. I feel like this really gets me present and grounded with where I am in the here and now. And as you continue to breathe and connect and relax the neck, allow the shoulders to fall away from the ears. Allow the breath to expand the collarbones to each side of the room or the car or the space you're in. To allow that tailbone to tuck down gently as you scoop your bottom hips up ever so slightly towards the belly button. To hold that core strong but gentle. And then allowing the knees and the hips to relax. If you're sitting, let them just drip down towards the chair, and if you're standing, allow them to become weightless. Use your breath to send oxygen down to the rest of the lower body, the lower leg, the ankle, the feet, and allow everything in your world to slow down. And I invite you to set an intention here and now. It can be around whatever is instantly dropping into you, whatever first comes to your mind, regardless of if you think, oh, that can't possibly be my message or what my intention is. No. And worrying about it. Just allow it to be. Allow the eyes to fall softer. Release the tongue and soften it down as if it were to just slip down the back of your throat. Relax the muscles in the face as you go deeper with your intention. See if you can allow the fingers to open up and notice if they were crinkled up. See if you can expand them without forcing them, as slowly as possible. Just allowing them to fully extend, fully feel the energy, while practicing that softness of the body. this is as complex as we are going to be with the meditation today. Take one more round of breath. Inhale into the nose. Pause at the top. And exhale as you come back to a regular breath. Allow yourself to move in whatever way feels most natural to you at this time. For me, if you are not watching the YouTube, I am allowing my hands to just run all over my body because that is what instantly happened for me. I did not make a deliberate decision to do so. It just felt like the next thing for me to do. And instead of questioning it, I acted on it because I know it is a safe method for me to feel at home and connected with myself. Thank you if you were able to sit in that meditation. I hope that that intention will serve you for the rest of your day and you'll be able to come back to it, check in with yourself. Anytime a reaction happens, anytime a new situation begins, anytime you start a new task, ask yourself, am I living in this intention? How can I apply my intention, to the new situation I'm about to enter? Very powerful when we can do that. I'm not sure about you guys, but I feel the energy in my hands. And what I love to tell my clients, my students, I just started my first ever 6-month course, the Conscious Alignment Method coaching container. And we had our first meetup. And in the meeting, I direct them that when you have your hands and you feel resonance or you feel something powerful, rub them together and create that friction, create that energy. And then when you're done, take them apart, hold them, and feel the energy buzzing between your two hands. And just expand it, bring it back together, and feel how you can play with it. It's like when you're little and you put your hands out in front of you straight, like fingers straight, and then someone put their hand against yours and you were pushing against each other's hands. And then when you took them apart, you each felt, or the person on the inside would feel like they had a ball in their hands that they could play with. I don't know if you ever did that as a kid, but I 1000% found it so fascinating and I'd get lost doing it. I loved it. And to continue on with today's message, I'm going to start screen sharing. So if you're watching the YouTube, then you'll get to see what's going on. And if not, that's okay. Disregard all my other things happening here. I wonder. I'm not new to Zoom, but I definitely would like to play with it more when I'm not recording things. So I'll have to do that later. But as you can see, this is the natal birth chart that I have pulled up. And it is actually for the location of Escanaba, Michigan. That's where I grew up. And that's Eastern time zone. So right now there, it would be 4 o'clock. So if you are there and it is 4 o'clock, here's our chart of the moment. And the big thing we are talking about in astrology is this conjunction or this meeting, this makeout sesh of Jupiter and Neptune, the planets. And let me back up and say why this is so significant. Well, this happens every 150 years. So you're a very lucky guy or gal to be living during such a blessed and opportunistic time. That's how I interpret it. I'm not sure who else you would listen to or hear from, about this jazz. However, I do not believe in fatal astrology readings. I don't believe in someone saying, "Oh, this bad thing is going to happen to you." That's cruel, and I really pray that if you ever had a bad situation like that happen, or a misfortunate one where someone scared you with this and now you semi resent astrology, please come talk to me. I want to make that a better experience for you. That is something I feel deeply about doing. And so, if you had a bad experience, I'm so sorry, reach out to me. But if not, if you don't have much of an experience, or you're like, well, I don't believe in astrology because it's blah, 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 like you have something against it, whether it's negative or positive, I invite you to remember that astrology is only a belief when you constantly think about it in truth and really basically depend on it. And like a belief is just a repeated thought over and over and over again. And so you don't have to necessarily live by it. I don't live by it. I use it. I use it as a guiding tool. If something's going on in my life and internally I'm flustered and I'm not sure where to go, I look at my natal birth chart and I look at the transits or the moving planets in correlation with my natal chart, and I interpret it with my own thoughts, my own words, what I think it's meaning, and I try it on for size. And if it doesn't fit, if it doesn't feel good, if the pants are too tight and my thighs are bursting out the seams, then I'm not going to keep living that way. And that's the beautiful part about this. As scary, accurate as it can be, please, 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 please always use your discernment with anything you ever hear online, on a podcast, on a YouTube, whatever it is. Media, gosh, the radio, TV, like it's all marketing or someone else's interpretation or an old theory or paradigm that isn't or probably isn't true anymore, because we're evolutionary creatures. We're always growing and changing and morphing and shifting. And yeah, I just really, really, really encourage you to use your own discernment. Trust your gut. Trust what you know in your core. We'll talk about the core another day. So let's get started with the astrology. Thank you for listening to all my precursors. I feel it's very important to say all that. So I want to start with the sun, the moon, and then we'll go from there. So the sun is currently in Aries. As you can see, if you're watching on the tube, I'm circling the sun in this Eastern Standard Time zone. It is in the 9th house. And so the sun moves every day or every couple days, so that's not super important. But it can help you day by day to go, how could I utilize this day the best with what I have set out to do? That could just be a way you play with this. But Aries, often a very quick energy. It's about the physical body. It rules the first house. When we first come into the world, what's going on? We are screaming. We are crying. We just got out of the womb. Our nutrients just got cut off. We are hungry. We're like, what the barnacle? My body is real. I can touch it. I can feel it. Now I'm this energetic being in motion. Like I will not stop until I die, and then that energy will transfer elsewhere. But however, what I'm trying to get at is that it's very much so a physical energy. And so that's how we feel best during the month of middle of March to April. It is living in a way where we can express ourselves through movement, physical, mental, emotional movement, getting the tears going, running, biking, hiking, getting outside. It's spring, people. And so this energy is like, all right, we are ready to take action. We are here for it. It is touchdown time. And we're here. And with it being in the ninth house for today and perhaps the next couple days, if you're in that Eastern time zone, it is, in my own interpretation, it allows us to be truthful. It allows us to really understand what is going on, what we want, what we desire, what we want to stand for, what we want to uplift, bring to life. And it's really, really beautiful. And then with our moon in Virgo, according to this chart and time zone, excuse me. Oh, big yawn, big yawn. Excuse me again. That's a good sign. In my own way, this is our emotional body, really craving that structured, deliberate, intentional action, organization. It's getting outside to clear the mind, having your health, your affairs in order. Think about when you eat food that has GMOs or is fried or is full of toxic chemicals because they sprayed most things with Roundup and such. And we put that in our body. We're slightly poisoning ourselves, and we've been doing it on such a minute level for a long time, not because we're intentionally doing that, but because we have been showed this way because of belief that it is good, better, easier, quicker, faster, that we haven't used that deliberate, intentional, what am I eating? What am I doing? How's this making me feel attitude? And Virgo brings that in. So check the emotions with what it is that you are thinking about, what it is you're eating, what it is that is all messy in your world. I invite you to clean it up, to organize, to audit yourself. I was chatting with a girlfriend yesterday. Her podcast will be released next week, and I actually read her chart through the podcast. It'll sound a little bit different. It's a mixture of me doing an actual reading and then me doing a podcast. It was my first time doing it on my podcast. I'd only ever done it on someone else's before. And I definitely felt a little bit like, whoo, this is a little different. I don't know how deep to go because I go pretty deep in my readings, but it's a very beautiful conversation. And we were sharing some insight about content creation afterwards. And she was explaining to me how she did an audit of her life. And she's a beautiful representation of this because she's a Virgo sun. And gosh, she's got Pisces energy otherwise, but she has like quite a bit of fire energy. And so when she's able to balance the doing with the being and having everything organized so that divine timing and action can take place without her overworking or hustling, so to say, it's a much better feeling overall. And we'll move on from that, but really take inventory of how this is affecting your physical body, this messiness, this chaotic disorder, and see if you can bring it to order. And this is, very, oh, I'm so sorry. I said that the sun moves daily, and I apologize. I was thinking about the moon. The sun definitely stays in a sign for about a month. The moon moves every day to 2 to 3 days. I apologize. Bad on me. I am so sorry. So our how we perceive the world stays pretty consistent, but our emotions can often feel like a roller coaster because it's constantly changing. Thank you for being okay with my humanness. Anyways, we're moving on to the conjunction that is so magical and powerful. So in this chart, we are looking at it, and we are just 1 single degree away from making out on top of each other. The act is happening. And this energy, in my opinion, will be inviting us to tap into that innate knowing I talked about earlier, how we connect with ourselves and the world around us, to bring us opportunities that we have been ready for, that we have been beyond ready for, that we are so ready for. We wanted it to happen days ago, months ago, but we just weren't there yet. There had to be something that perhaps we were figuring out, sorting out, releasing, and coming over. Basically, hurdling over as if you're running a hurdle race. And sometimes there's not just one hurdle. There's a hurdle, and there's the hurdle under that hurdle, and then there's a hurdle under that hurdle. And then you say hurdle so many times that you start to contemplate how odd the word hurdle is. And it's just this jumbo mumbo that you have to get through all of them to get to that straight finish line where there's nothing in your way and you can actually claim what you are beginning. So that is how overall I'm seeing this. A very, very potent time to really declare what it is you are going to be calling in for yourself in a year. So a self, like who you are now, you're writing a letter to that person a year from now. And you're getting all the juicy details, how you love, who you're loving on, if it's a new relationship or an old relationship, or if you're in a relationship, how you want that relationship to be in the future, family, friends, bosses, the dog, grandma, grandpa, your landlord, whoever it is, strangers on the street. How do you want to impact them? How do you want to be seen at that point of time? And then also going into our spirituality, how we connect with the healer within ourselves, but also how we connect with our conscious awareness of when that little voice comes in and it's peeping us and it's going, hey, 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 I'm right here. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm trying to lift you up and make it positive, and I love you. And it's like all these little messages of things that we want to do, things that we want to create. And some of us require a couple days to make decisions on those things. But if you're anything like me, your gut feeling, instant, it's in the moment. Planning things is really beautiful and great. But when you get to that day, when you get to what's going on, you really got to feel into it and make sure it is still in alignment for you. So this is a really great opportunity for us to practice and make things happen for our future. Isn't that exciting? Isn't that opportunistic? Isn't that a present from the heavens above that you are this divine being walking in the middle world? You're not in the ground anymore. You're not in the sky anymore. You're here in the flesh. And it's so amazing. And so this is really an emphasis of that time of getting clear on what you want, taking very detailed awareness of what's around you, what could change, what is making you unhappy. Because let's back up and talk about these planets as individuals. So the planet of Jupiter, it is the daydream maker. It's like you bought a lottery ticket without thinking twice, no expectation, and boom, you won $5,000. Is it life-changing? It fucking could be. I'm not going to deny that. If I won $5,000 right now, I would be jumping up and down. That would be amazing. And it's having that cheerful, jovial gratitude for whatever comes your way and how you perceive it. And that's what another way I interpret Jupiter. It's your perception of the world. It is how willing you are to welcome in whatever it is into your life. And when it's positive, when it is something that we do enjoy, to really appreciate the abundance. And if it's something negative, perhaps an addiction or drinking a little bit too much alcohol or smoking a little bit too much weed or having a little bit too much fun in the sense that we are getting distracted and unfocused, then we know, hey, that could be a misuse of this energy at this time. There's always a time and place, don't get me wrong, but is this really what I want to be doing a year from now? Stuck in these same loop patterns in my thoughts and my actions and my words, how I react, how I perceive, how I operate. And really be honest with yourself. There is absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to start a new routine or adding in things to your life so that you can begin to see, oh, when I add things in that I want to be doing, I begin to become the person I've always dreamed of becoming. And it becomes instantaneous. And it's this big expansion of who you are. And Neptune, whoo. We're talking illusions. We are talking other worlds. We are talking multiple realities. And if you want to think about it in a practical way, this is like a multi-reality in the flesh. I'm speaking on April 12th, 2022 at 1:18 Pacific Standard Time, but you might be listening to this much farther into the future. And if you're listening to this much farther into the future, are you not time traveling? All right, really quick, I do have to say, I heard a riddle that was really cool. And it pertains to this. So, what was it? It's like, what if time is money, money is time, or something like that. And then it had ATM, and then the answer was a time machine. And I don't know if this was the real answer or not, but it was cool to hear, like, if money is time and time is money, what would you get, or like what would that be? And it's a time machine, and that spells ATM. I don't know about y'all, but I thought that was super clever and amazing. I hope you got that with my poor explanation, but that's how we do things here sometimes. And so that is actually a great example of what this energy can also be. It can be not having structure to your plan and free flowing with it like a little amoeba in space, and just like, woohoo, I'm in the clouds. I'm living in the here, but I don't want to be here. But that isn't going to get you closer to that future self. And not because you're present. When you're present, you're getting closer to the future self. In my own opinion, when you're floating in the clouds, you're distracted. You are being taken by the illusion. You are allowing yourself to make choices that stick you in a box that you stuck yourself in. But this box doesn't feel good. And it's got all this emotional baggage, all of this cynicism around it. And it requires you to be a certain way and to have these certain views and to judge certain people, because your views will probably not match half the other bit of the population's views. And so then there's this big problem of feeling separate from one another, when in reality, this planet is all about unity, because it's the cycle of life. Think about the zodiac. You got the first house, the first sign, the first planet, and that is anything Aries and Mars related. That's the first. You go all the way around the zodiac to number 12. You got Pisces, you got the 12th house, you got Neptune. And honestly, we're in a very serious time to feel that connection with other people, to cultivate the communities that we want to cultivate, to make sure that we have ended cycles that don't feel good, do not help us, are not serving us, and begin to implement the things that will, because it is such a potent time for this. And with Neptune in Pisces, it is as if we are getting answers from spirit, source, God, whatever you want to call it, believe in it, helping you towards that dream. And so it is just so beautiful. And what I feel called to point out, I shared this on the TikTok earlier at Isabel Astrology, and to hear the rest of my explanation, you had to come see this. So here it is. I feel called out to share that Pluto is in a very happy position with this makeout session, Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces. So it's just like, dreams can come to life, and when you envision it and let it happen and stop controlling the narrative and trust and believe, you will succeed. And it's like we're at the like Friday night lights. Bop, bop, bing, boom, bop, cha-da, shh, and things happen. Because here now, Pluto is on the cusp of leaving Capricorn, moving into Aquarius. And so it's at the end of the workaholic sign of the I achieved it, I succeeded, I know what I'm doing. And so there's something that you have completed, that you have gone through it all, you've audited the shit out of it, and you are ready to keep moving and grooving. But with this, it could feel so easy and so effortless. It's as if you have missed an opportunity that has presented itself to you, that you have overlooked or declared not good enough or declared that won't change my life. And if you're looking for a certain thing, that's not an issue. But when you're in that tunnel vision, every other opportunity is going to get neglected and they're going to be sad cats and they're just going to not purr anymore and walk away like, fuck, I didn't get my scratchies. So when we can go back and just do a little audit, a little reflection, a little investigation of how we are setting boundaries for our time and what we're achieving, while also noticing, okay, what could I have missed because I was having so much time put towards control or trying to manipulate a situation to go how I wanted it to, although it might not have been for me, but then I'm forced it to be for me and now I'm living with it and now it's not what I want and now I'm a little upset and now I don't know what to do. Now I'm going in the wrong direction. That is what we're trying to avoid here. And so I really invite you to look back and see what has been like magnetized in your life. What is just coming to you? And what can you do with that? What could you surrender to? What belief, what thought, what commitment, whatever could you just let down, be gentle with, and be curious and go, okay, I've been getting a lot of rover clients because I'm a dog walker. And they're happening pretty quick. But I feel like I'm meant to be more than just a dog walker. What do I do now? So that could be an example of like really feeling like there is more that you are able to do. And I'm not denying that because I am that dog walker I speak of. And I'm that person thinking I'm made for much more. But think about what you're calling in. And if it's money, which is what I'm calling in at this time, like my relationship positively with finances, wealth, and I either one look at all these rover people coming at me and going like, yeah, I want your help. And I'm grateful for it. And I say like, yeah, this is great. I'm getting the money I want. I'm working towards the other things that are bringing me happiness. And this is really bringing harmony into my life. Then I'm able to operate out of that jovialness, that abundance. And I'm going to be calling in more of that because that's where my focus is. That's where our manifestations really come to life. However, if I was like, all these rover people, this is so annoying with all these dogs, I can't even do what I want to do. I can't focus. I have to do all these other things and it's taking time away from me. Well, your focus is not going to be on what you want, it's on what you don't want. And so when your focus is on anything, it comes to you. What's the saying? Where energy flows where energy goes. So if your energy is on something you do not want, you are going to get more of it and it's not going to feel good. But on the other side of that, you got that conscious choice to stop, lock, and look around at your surroundings. What else do I want to point out here? I don't want to go on too much longer, except for telling you that right now, I would like to say that this is on the 8th house. So you could be experiencing this in kind of what I already chatted and pointed out, but relationships, wealth, investments, anything that pertains to honesty or like clarity. If there's something in your life where like you feel like you could be more connected with yourself, it could very well mean that it's time to go exploring on what you like in the bedroom. And I'm not saying that in like a dirty way. I'm really inviting you to tap into your pleasure side and to understand how and where you feel powerful with your sensuality and sexuality. Because if we are always trying to dump ourselves, our problems, our projections, our issues, our traumas, our past, which funnily enough, not sure if funnily is a word, but it is now. But like that's not an actual reality anymore. The memory was very much real and it did happen, but that's not happening anymore. And it's still haunting you, maybe, if this is something that does apply to you. And just think about that. Something that is not real anymore, is not happening anymore, is still haunting you. So, what do you need to do to go and make that okay inside your own body, mind, and soul? And I'm not saying that this is always easy or that it's foolish. This is a normal response for humans because we're so complex. Our psychology is so complex, always trying to keep us safe, always trying to help us remember pain, agony, frustration, so that we don't go to those same places again. But that's not always the case. And so I really, really invite you to get honest with yourself. What could help you? What could assist you? What could guide you towards releasing? Right now, I'm reading the Sedona Method by, it's either Hale or Hal. Dowskin. I hope I didn't slaughter his name, and I'm sorry. Hal. I'm going to call you Hal. I hope that's how you pronounce your name. I apologize deeply if not. But it talks about this very simple method of releasing. And so let me actually pull it out for y'all and just tell you the couple sentences that you can ask yourself when wanting to let go or release something out of your life. And so the releasing flow chart that he has here, and it goes from apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride. And when you release that, it turns into courageousness, acceptance, peace. And that feeling leaves your body, but not just because you've dismissed it or you've neglected it or you suppress it, as we all might have an experience of learning. And if you did not learn it that way, please start some sort of school system to teach our children. They don't have to live in that learning method because we have to feel. In order for these energies to be lifted, so we have those opportunities, we have to feel through them. We have to experience them fully. We have to really cry. We have to really grieve. We have to really accept. We have to really acknowledge what part of us got damaged during that act or saying or time, event, whatever pertains to you, and witness that we are carrying it around on intentionally, whether you want to or not. And so he has this little funny way of showing you practically that you can release anything and that we are the ones that are holding on intentionally by picking up a pencil. So I invite you to pick up a pencil. And when you pick up that pencil, really squeeze the crap out of it. Squeeze it as hard as you can and tell me what you're feeling as you're squeezing it. Like, are you getting tired? Is it hurting your hand? Is it becoming like a task that you really don't want to keep doing? That's the same thing, because now when I tell you to release it, the pencil doesn't just fall. You have to actively tell your body to open your hand. And so that's the same way our emotions work. And I'm still trying to find this saying from him, this release method, or the questions. Oh, right here. So these are the basic releasing questions. So think about something that might be troubling you in this moment. We'll do this real quick. What is your now feeling right now? What are you feeling? Could be positive, could be negative. Either or. There's no right or wrong. And then, could you allow or welcome that feeling? You say yes or no. Simple as that. They're just sounds. Yes or no. Okay. Makes it a little bit nicer. Then next, you think about that feeling. Think about your answer. Can you welcome it and allow it? And then you ask yourself, could you let it go? Could you let it go? Yes or no? Maybe it's a no because there's unresolved issues that you still feel hurt by. That's okay. This is not a way to just bypass what you're feeling. This is to acknowledge that you're still hurt or you still need something. And then the next question, there's two more. Would you let it go? So, could you let it go is one. And two is, would you let it go? And think about that because it's only a yes or no answer. If you could let it go, that means there's nothing attaching you to that. That there's a place in you that where you feel clear and you feel okay with what it is, and that you're at the point where you could let it go. But if you say no, and if you say no, there's like, but is so intimidating. And if you said no, that just simply tells you that you're not through with experiencing that emotion. And the more that you allow it to live inside you, it's like a disease. And that's where dis-ease comes from. We have an emotional experience. It becomes embedded into our body, bones, blood, vessels, the whole nine yards. We suppress it, we suppress it, we suppress it. We have all of this carried grief, tension, anger, apathy, frustration for days, months, years. That becomes who you are. Your new personality is now infected by that event. And then, because you've ignored it or suppressed it or told yourself you're over it when you're not, you have neglected yourself. And that disease is beginning to show up in different ways. Bladder infections, ear infections, hoarse throat, maybe an appendix burst. It can be anything, anyone. It can be anything, you guys. So, after you ask, would you let it go? No right or wrong answer. Just knowing that the longer you hold on to it without acknowledging it and giving it the time of day, inviting it to tea, the longer it's going to infect you. You ask when. Could you let it go? And then when? Maybe it's right now. And you feel that lift off of your body. Maybe it's tomorrow. You still have something you need to do with it. Maybe you don't know. And I would advise you to maybe stray away from that. And this is not, this I'm done talking about Hale. Thank you, Hale, and the Sedona Method. I'm excited to finish this book by the end of the month because that's my February habit is to read one book a month. Maybe it was my March habit. Yeah, it was my March habit. So I say that because let me back up and think. I advise you to stray away from saying, I don't know about anything in your life. Because the moment that you admit or commit or say or think, I don't know, you are disempowering yourself. You are giving up your power to make a decision. And being indecisive is one of the not great qualities of what could happen during this time. So I very much encourage you to make decisions. on whatever is blocking you from moving on with the task at hand, with the frustrations, with what you've been trying to create, with the job, with the wealth, with the relationship, whatever it may be for you. Because we're all different. And this all impacts us differently. But collectively, it's happening. And so this can even be something that goes out to the masses, where you are sending during this time very important to sit in prayer or meditation or vacuuming religiously to get your house clean so that your outside resembles the inside. The outside can really create a harmonic place for the inside world to live. So that can look like vacuuming. That can look like doing the dishes, going on a walk. That can be organizing your files, getting your taxes done. It just depends on who you are, the kind of elements that make you up, and how you're being impacted by this. So I really hope that you were able to take something practical from this, that you have some sort of answer or some sort of new directive towards an inclination you've had or something you've wanted to figure out or move forward in. Like, now is the time for you to get very persistent and clear in what that is, and sending out those prayers, imagining what you want for humanity. We're in a world-changing time right now, and to pick ourselves up out of these boxes we've created for ourselves so that we feel comfortable, but then we also feel restricted and we don't know how to move on or to grow because we suppress ourselves and we don't feel our emotions. We are breaking out of that. The new cycle starts now. It's this week. This week, baby. And so I'm going to end this here, but I'm sending my love out to y'all. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, Isabelle at isabellwellman.com, ISABELLE at ISABELLEWELLMAN.com. It'll all be in the show notes anyway. So if you're, whether it's YouTube or the podcast, you'll see them. And just ask. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. I love talking. I love it. Why would I have a podcast if I didn't? I love conversing. I love sharing ideas. I love having an open perspective to what you have to say. I absolutely will not tolerate hate or judgment. That is not something I allow into my space. That's not a part of my energy, and I will black you out of there as fast as I can. But that's my boundary. And there's nothing wrong with having a strict boundary for what is allowed in your energy field and what is not. And so I invite you to very much get clear with that. Have ways that you're protecting yourself as you move forward. Be tender with yourself. Find a way to get deliberate with your actions, your words, your reactions. And if you want an astrology reading that pertains to this, I have that on my Calendly. That will be in the show notes as well. If you're interested, I would love to do that with you. So thank you for staying tuned. Thanks for joining me on this Astro-inspired Incredibelle Conversations podcast episode. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. And I love doing this with everyone. So I will catch you later in the week. Next week's episode will be with my beautiful friend and me reading her chart while digging deeper into why and how she could continue to grow. So have a beautiful day. Go and sit in your meditation. Just sit down quietly and envision the life you want, from the smells, the taste, the touch, the feel goods. I think I'm going to record a video after this of me doing that so that y'all can have a step-by-step process if you're someone who's a visionary like me. So I'm sending my love. Peace.